Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Jody, mic check.
1 2 1 2.
1 2 1 2. Let's see how it went. Whoa, easy now, Jody. Easy.
I get really loud.
Same. Here we go. Actually, I think I'm gonna turn this light down just a titchy.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's better.
Sheesh.
Right?
High end.
Get the big
You only get it good when
We're
you're
the big dogs here at Euphoria Wellness Spa, Canoe Cafe. All right, Jody. Is it Jodilynn? Do I just Jody you?
My legal name is Jody, because when you're a police officer, sometimes you want a different online name than what your real name is. So then my online name is like Jodilynn.
Okay, good to know.
In real world.
Well, I actually had somebody today email me and they're like, is it okay if I call you Tiff?
Oh.
And I'm funny. I am Tiffany. But when we get close, then I have no problem you calling me Tiff.
Oh, funny. Yeah,
but if we were like new and had just met, on the inside, I would be cringing a little if you called me Tiff. Isn't that weird?
That is.
And I got a funky last name that people like to botch.
Well, I was going to ask you about that.
I remember being a little girl and they would mispronounce it. They'd say Arcari. And I would stand up and be like, actually, it's Arcari. As if they were supposed to know. I used to get really offended about it. Actually. Welcome, Jody, to the Tiffany Show. I'm Tiffany Arcari. I am your host online and on your TV, Peterborough Lindsay. Today is the day, my friend. I'm obsessed with your products and your mission.
Thank you.
I've known you for several years.
Yes,
we've crossed paths.
Yeah.
So I felt like it was a perfect time to bring you in to have a little Tiffany Show conversation.
Yes.
So Jody White.
Yes, Jody White. That is
Jody
the official,
White.
Yeah.
It's
the official name.
Why don't we start with you telling us just a little bit about yourself?
Yep. Peterborough's my hometown, so I wasn't born here, but I was that inconvenient baby that was born the day you're moving. Yep.
No.
Oh, yep. So I was born, I think it was actually born in another location, then we ended up in Peterborough, but pretty much Peterborough from the get-go. So,
my gosh, we have to have your mom on to share that story.
Oh, God.
Was it happening in the car? Was it right before you left the house?
No, I don't know. I've never really gone into like the complete
You don't want to know?
of, like the process, but I just know I was a very inconvenient baby on the day that I was born.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Yeah. How long have you been in Peterborough?
When I was raised here, I never like moved out of Peterborough until I went to school.
Oh.
A short time. Like I was only in Ottawa for a year.
Okay.
And then I came back because I was in, I went to Carleton University for criminology for a year.
Oh, right.
Yep. Realized I didn't want to write essays for the rest of my life. So that's not my jam. So then I moved back to Peterborough and then I went to Police Foundations of Fleming. Oh, and then I was like always in Peterborough. Yeah.
I'm also a Fleming alum.
Wow,
I think we have that in common.
Yeah.
It's funny. A lot of people like leave and then end up coming back. Yep. Like I see that story a lot.
Yep.
Because Peterborough's got a lot to offer.
Yeah. You don't realize it or appreciate it until you're outside of Peterborough.
That is so true. And I came from a big city.
Yeah.
And so I definitely have that appreciation. And when I was, 15 or 16, my dad had sold his house in Hamilton and moved us out in the middle of nowhere that was like an hour away from Bancroft.
Oh,
yeah. So I went from huge city to all of a sudden I'm sitting in class and all the students are gone in October. And I'm like, where is everybody?
Yeah.
Like they're hunting. And I will never forget being like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean they're hunting? What are they hunting? And then I came to Peterborough and it's not too big and it's not too small.
See, that's it. Yeah. It's kind of like, it's that small, it's that big little town. Like it's one of those things.
Yeah. Enough going on so you're not bored. People are still close together.
You get city vibes, but then you also get like the wilderness vibes.
Yeah. So Jody, you've got a bit of a story, my friend.
Yeah, there's yes.
I feel like a lot of people are sort of intimidated by police officers. I know I certainly was when I went, because I knew you before I knew you were a police officer and I found out you were a police officer and was like behavior.
Yeah.
Oh, I just swore. I'll have to edit that out.
Cut there.
Right, we're on TV now. We're on TV. I can't swear anymore. So yeah, I feel like some people get a little intimidated. So you were a police officer.
Yeah.
A fitness trainer.
Yeah.
and now a business owner with
Yep.
Discovery Headbands. Can you maybe just walk us through that journey, how you got here, what motivated you to start your own business?
Yeah. So fitness has always been a part of my life. Like I was into sports, I was competitive figure skating, competitive in gymnastics. I flip-flop back and forth between the two. Yep.
I was a figure skater too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And very competitive.
Oh, I bet. That doesn't surprise me.
Yep. I don't want to, pump myself up, but I was the Eastern Ontario champion for quite some time. Yeah.
She's a winner.
Oh, yeah, easy does. Anything that requires movement, I love it.
Your vibe?
Move the body. That's me. So,
were your parents big sportsy people?
Yeah, my mom was figure skating too. Figure skating. My dad was he wasn't really like hockey, but
my dad was Elvis Stojko.
No. Can you imagine they were pair partners? No, nothing like that. They were kind of like sports people. But my first job ever was working at Dairy Queen. And it is still my favorite thing of life. Oh. But then I realized, it's not really my passion. I knew I wanted to be a police officer ever since I was in grade 7. So it was one of those things that you're just okay, how do I get there? I'm lining this up. I'm lining up. I was a very determined, independent child. So as soon as I knew what I wanted to do, so you could not change my mind. My mom and dad were always very encouraging of whatever I wanted to do. They were very supportive, but
so
they know what comes along with those types of careers. And it's just are you sure this is what you want to do? But it was literally grade 7. So then you have an officer that comes in and tells you all that. And so that was that sold me. Even though I was competitive in sports, I did a lot of community involvement. I volunteered for everything. Because when you're younger, there's nothing you can really do to set yourself up to be an officer other than they tell you to be involved in your community and pick your friends wisely.
Ooh.
Yes. That was what I literally, every time I saw a police officer, I'd always walk up and say, if I want to be a police officer when I'm older, what do I have to do? You should have seen my wardrobe.
Oh my God.
I was obsessed.
Oh, how cute is
I was obsessed. So anyways, literally that got me. And then once you got into school and I got a job, then I actually started working for the city gym as a trainer and the group instructor.
Right.
So I was there for a very long time. And then from that point, I started kind of moving into my own business at the same time of when I just right before I became an officer, that shift kind of happened into my own business.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. But then I also still worked for the city. I had, and I was still coaching skating and I had it was unbelievable. We're getting to the mental health part here. I would just back my schedule up to the point where I didn't even have time to actually go from one place to the next. I would back things up so bad in my schedule. I didn't even take into account the travel time. It was bad.
No breathing room.
Nope. And then, so then when I went to university, realized that's not my jam. Then I transferred to Fleming, did police foundation. I actually applied to the RCMP when I was in university.
Oh, wow.
The day I turned 18, I went and wrote my RCMP test.
That's how much I was
that's
how bad you wanted this.
So I had pressure. I was I gotta get it.
That is significant.
I turned 18.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So I go write my test. I should have brought that paper. I failed by 0.01%. No word of a lie. It's still on the paper, 0.01%.
No.
Yep. Did not deal with failure very well.
Right.
I was a kid that if something didn't work, it's okay. I'll just work harder and I'll get it and I'll get it and I'll get it. I never
because athletes aren't you just go work harder.
That's right. There's no such thing as failure. You just go, right?
Wow.
Anyways, but yes. So then it was redirecting, okay, now what can I do? But it was maybe you can go OPP.
Right.
So then it was and I applied to the OPP, went through the process, went through the interview, and they came down to say we would love to hire you. You seem great. However, you don't have any life experience. You literally have worked at Dairy Queen and a gym. You need to go get some life experience. So I was dang it. What the heck? I'm well, I'll get life experience for another role.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they pretty much said, if you go get life experience, come back in a year. We normally don't do this, but if you come back in a year, show us what you've done, then we'll kind of continue on the process and whatever.
Right. Okay.
So I thought, well, figure skating, where's that? Maybe I'll travel the world, do some figure skating shows. That'll get me a life experience.
Yeah.
So I kind of set myself up to do that. I was going to do cruise ships, or I was applying to all those things. I also applied to the Peterborough Police Service, and it wasn't at the time, it was Peterborough Lakefield Community Police Service or whatever it was. In high school, I actually did my placement at the Peterborough.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I did my placement.
You kind of knew some faces.
So I already knew a couple people there. So the funny thing is I actually got the phone call the day of my birthday when I was turning 21.
Oh my gosh, what a birthday gift.
Yeah, that's where it was at until 2017 when everything changed.
When everything shifted?
Yep.
Did you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So, this is where it gets tough. But yeah, 2017 is when it actually started before then. Like, it actually started in May. I think it was like January, May. I had some like physical things going on that I never really realized like where they were coming from. I just always chalked them up as like, oh, I'm tired, or I have too many things going on, or I eat too much tuna, which is a funny thing to say, but like
People say that.
Yeah.
People say that when they don't feel well.
but it's like the reason why I say that is because like they say like if you eat too much mercury, it can affect like your memory or
Totally.
like, at the time, because I was like super into fitness, I was like, oh, maybe it is. I'm eating too much tuna. I gotta bring that down, and maybe it'll change. And so even like people I was working with on the service, like there were some people that even said to me like, something's going on. Like you just told me that sentence, and you're repeating yourself. And so like I didn't know what was happening. I was just like, oh, whatever. Like, I just always made excuses.
Right.
Kind of started in 2016 slowly, but then once the beginning of 2017 started, that's kind of when everything like really started to come to light. And so again, like I didn't really know what was going on. My parents were gone to Australia for like a month, and so normally I'm very close with my parents.
Right.
Mom and my dad, like literally I usually talk to them every day, especially when they're traveling. And we even had like a chat group where they would give us updates like on a daily. But it got to the point where I was like, I'm archiving their thing. Like I don't want to hear from them. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to hear any update. That's not normal. Like so I literally archived the message. They would be sending me messages all the time, but I wouldn't respond. So like obviously my mom and dad are picking up on like something's weird, because she's not like communicating at all with us. And then it got to the point where my mom and dad kept messaging me saying like, we want to call you, we want to talk to you, and I kept making excuses, being whatever it was. And so then they're like, well, no, we'll wait, because I'm like, oh, I know the time change is there. Like I kept just making excuses not to talk. I was like, well, I just need to go in the shower and then whatever. So I'm not kidding you, I had an hour-long shower purposely because I wanted to try and delay the time to not call them or talk to them. And then by the time I got out of the shower, I messaged them like, oh, they're doing something else or whatever, right? Oh, sure enough, I get out of the shower, they're like, no, we're still here waiting. I'm like, dang it. So anyways, they video call me, and I was like, ugh. And I can, it's so clear. Like I'm laying in my bed and I'm just like, oh yeah. And so when you're an officer, you know, like if you ask open-ended questions, it's going to prolong like the time that person talks. So I just constantly was asking my parents open-ended questions because I never wanted them to get to me on the phone. I don't even know. It was over an hour of me just asking them questions. Oh, wow. And then finally it got to the point where my mom was like, so what's going on? What is happening? And I'm like, oh, just tired, like work's work, and like one of those answers. And she's just like, no, like what is going on? Because like you haven't messaged us since we've been here. Like what is happening? And then that's pretty much when I told my mom and dad that I just wanted to kill myself. And I had a plan and everything. And so I told them what I was going to do. And my dad, same thing. He's like, you can't go into work. Like you cannot go into work. You need to go to the doctor. You're calling in sick. Like, no, like I can't, because we're already short staffed. Everybody's relying on you. And they're like, you're putting everybody else in danger if you do this. So how my mom ended up switching my mindset was, she says, you know, if you don't care about yourself, fine, but you care about the people you work with and you don't want to put them into danger. And then that's when my brain was like, oh yeah, you're right. Like I didn't, like the girl that I was really close with, I was essentially going to put her in a position that wouldn't have been safe for her. Right. And so anyway, I ended up going to my doctor the next morning. As soon as I walked in, because she's been our family doctor since like the beginning of time. Yeah. So she knows our family. As soon as I walked in, I started talking to her. She was just like, immediately, no, like you're not going to work. So she signed me off. Like going into policing, like I knew exactly what I wanted. Very cut and dry. It was very clear to me. And I was a very confident person. And the thing is people always say like, you never know when it's going to happen, and you always think it's like it's not going to touch you or it's not going to hit you, but like, and I'm telling you, like, I truly thought like, oh, like I have a great support system. I go to the doctor's checkout when I regularly do. I go to like the debriefings. If I was very involved, I tried to, and I'm an extrovert, so I talked about everything. I just thought that I had all the tools I needed in order to kind of go through the career for the entirety of what it was supposed to be.
Right.
A lot of those things, like I said, those physical symptoms, those things, like you truly think it's something else. Like, even to this day, I'm like, well, what if it's this? But then when you go and you see a psychologist, you see a psychotherapist, you get your assessment done, they're like, no, that is strictly trauma. That is like all these signs and everything that happened to me and all my symptoms are like, that's 100% trauma related. I went off work and then that got into the whole questioning your identity, who you are, find that whole, because I wanted to do it since I was grade 7, my entire life, I lived it, I breathed it, I dreamed it, everything was policing. Then I worked in it for, I think it was 7 years, always on front line. I picked up overtime shifts. I went in, like, I was just always, I could see you loved it. Like, just loved it. And so when you like live it that to the point where like, I even had situations where I was not in, like, this is actually kind of a funny thing, but I was literally in track pants, like massive boots, like construction boots almost, and a big baggy sweater and a hat on in Shoppers Drug Mart, and I ended up doing like a foot pursuit because someone stole something from across the street and people are yelling, this guy stole blah, blah, blah. And I chase him down and like tackle him pretty much. Like,
you're a beast, Jody.
Off duty, but like that's how committed I was to like doing my job.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then when that's literally like taken out from you in a moment's time, it's very difficult to think anything else to this day. Like I've been out of it for a while now, and I'm permanently not able to go back. It's just really tough to completely like wash it from your existence, like as far as like your identity goes. But it's been a process, and it's been great because it's turned into some wonderful things. Because now, I can help a lot of other people that are going through the same thing, but it definitely shattered my dreams, if you want to put it that way. Yeah. So,
and to come out on the other side and be like, this is the project I'm going to do and pour my heart into following all of that. It's not an easy pivot, not an easy thing to get back up from, not an easy thing to collect tools for.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're totally right. And now what you do ripples.
Yeah, it's been very rewarding. I'll say that for sure. Like since I started getting treatment and knowing how to deal with all my own stuff, but then also knowing like the things to say to other people that are going through certain things, and it makes a huge difference. So I was going to treatment like twice a week, every single week, and I still do treatment. So it's like, you don't stop it once you start it. Cause it's just like, even if you do once in a while, like just to kind of check in to make sure things are lining up the way they should. Like,
I feel like that is highly underrated. And a lot of people don't talk about it. They feel like they just go to therapy to treat like this one thing. Yeah. But it's like therapy can be maintenance. Oh yeah. We can just check in next year if we need to, 6 months from now, whatever that looks like. Like whenever you just feel like, things aren't aligned. Yeah. Check with your mental health professionals. Yeah, exactly. Wow, Jody.
But so the identity part of it, like that was where it came into this whole self-discovery, which is why I actually named it Discovery Headbands, is because it's like
that's why. I wondered why it was called.
All I wanted to do was just help people with an indirect way of like wearing a headband as like a security blanket. Like, you know what I mean? That's kind of where it came from. So I always loved headbands. So if people look back to my original fitness videos, I wore a different headband for every single thing I did. I always had issues with headbands giving me headaches or slipping off my head, or I always have these problems with headache. I can't remember who it was, but someone said, "Why don't you just make your own?" Okay, so what I did is I Googled how to make a headband, an article, not even YouTube. And I made it. I turn it, and I'm like, this is perfection. I'm like,
what is beer gold?
I literally, no, honestly, honestly, I put it on. I'm like, well, I guess gotta make my own headbands now. Wear them.
I'm gonna say it is one of the most comfortable headbands I've ever worn. Yeah, when I was like, wait a second. It's nice,
and it's gotten better. Let me even tell you,
these are nice. This is actually from my personal Discovery collection.
Yeah,
I thought maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have personal experiences that influence all of these designs, right?
That's for sure.
I thought perhaps we could talk about that and how your experience has influenced those designs and themes maybe through the years, and then maybe just a little demonstration of how to wear. I also have the scrunchies, and I packed I've got my own scrunchies today. I was going to wear it, but I thought it would be better. Sometimes I even wear it as a bracelet. To be honest, I do.
A little decoration on there.
Cute?
That's fine.
That's right.
Yeah. No, for sure. So when I first started, so the very, very first headband I ever created was I call it the Jodilynn. So it's the one that, because it's the very first one that I magically was like, wow, it works. So this is,
wow,
what happened here?
We can do this.
Yeah, so the thing is they do actually have like this discovery names to them. So each single headband is inspired by somebody else that suffered from a mental illness, right? I don't want to just create things for creating things. I want to help raise awareness and people understand and know what all the different mental illnesses out there. So if I can have every different style,
we keep looking down because we have all these headbands down here. Yeah, we have like 300.
So I'm going to go through them each. So this is the Jodilynn one that has a little sewn knot into it.
Can I say something? I don't know if you might be building up to this.
Yeah.
But we haven't talked about it yet.
So that's the Discovery headband.
Yeah.
Because it has all of them in one.
And
the gem.
My little gem.
Yes.
So every single Discovery headband comes with a little hidden gem. This one just happens to be pink.
Yeah.
What brand is that for me?
Well, that's part of the Zodiac collection. So the color corresponds with the Zodiac sign of it. The gem corresponds with the birthstone.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
you have a whole system.
Yeah,
I think you're just willy-nilly sticking gems in these headbands.
No,
how cute that is.
But everybody's different how they wear a headband. So like
me too. I always like my ears out.
Okay, you like yours. So me, I cover my ears up. Now my husband says, "You gotta expose your ears. You got cute ears." I'm like, "No, I look like Dumbo." Like
I should have just worn it like this.
Here you go.
I'm gonna wear it like that for the rest. We're gonna do a montage.
Yeah. Here we go. This is bamboo, so it's like a really thin, stretchy fabric.
What's this one? Is that also bamboo?
This one's a jersey. So bamboo is the most popular for if you're doing anything athletics because it's antibacterial and sweat wicking.
Oh, good to know.
But our jersey fabric is the softest and most stretchiest.
Yeah, I'm gonna wear this to work on Monday.
Yeah. And it goes with your shirt.
It does. I was like, did you?
It's almost like I knew
so
she was
on brand.
I didn't. But I was like,
I cannot say enough about these frickin' scrunchies.
Yeah.
They're like nice and thick and strong, and they're not shoddy made.
Yeah.
And I love each little headband and each scrunchie comes with a little tag that says "Handmade in Canada, Discovery Headbands by Jodilynn."
Yeah, and then each one has their little gem in it too. So the scrunchies don't.
I'm sorry. What?
Yeah.
My scrunchie has a gem?
Orangey brown one.
Mine's a little pearl in here. Oh my gosh, Jody, I didn't know.
Surprise.
I just thought it was the headband set. I love that. I don't know. It brings a lot of joy. And you know what? And there's another meaning behind this gem too, right? It's like to draw our focus to sort of reset.
To remind each individual that they're not alone in the process. There's someone or always with them throughout. And so that gem is just that little reminder, that you're not alone, but it's also to know that the reason why it's hidden within the headband or the product is because it's acting as like your brain. Your brain is the most important thing to your body and to the product, but it's not visible to the outside, but it is truly the most important. So it's to make sure that you always look after the gem and yourself, which is your brain. Which is why also it's connected to my logo, because if you look at my logo, it's the profile of me, but it's showing the brain with the lock in it.
So, Jody.
Yes.
If little Jody were standing here right now, what would you tell that little girl?
Open your eyes to opportunities, because I was very one-minded and driven and whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
However, if I would have, considered, like just keep your mind and your eyes open to the opportunities.
I think that is excellent advice.
Yeah.
Try lots of different things.
Yeah, and because you know what,
lots of different skills.
The old school mindset is like you're in one career and that's what you're doing for the
30 years and you're going to retire there. I'm chasing joy. We are not here for a long time, and I do not want to spend that time. Time is precious.
Yep.
Right? We got to do what we love.
Yep.
So for somebody that might be facing challenges, mental health challenges, looking for different outlets, we kind of talked about a few different tools. But what kind of advice could you offer to somebody that's looking for or at different creative outlets to kind of help them along the way?
So underestimate the power of their breath.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, and like if you just take a moment right now and literally
Let's do it.
Like you can just sit
Let's
there.
do it, Jody. We'll do it together. Ready? You can instruct us?
Yep. You can just sit there or however you're comfortable to sit, and you just take a nice big deep breath in. Once you take your deep breath in, hold it there. Don't release it. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And exhale. And if you repeat that like a few times, or, you can kind of be however you're comfortable or how it feels right for you. But literally breath work is super, super amazing.
Hugely important. Amazing. I even feel good just after doing that once, Yeah, totally. So Jody, final words.
Yes.
What would those words be, Jodilynn?
It would be, don't rush from one thing to the next.
Oh.
Be in the moment.
Yeah.
And enjoy your surroundings.
There's so much power in that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I find when my mind just gets going and going and going, to bring myself back. Somebody once said to me, Tiffany, just do the dishes. Because I used to stand there and do the dishes and get really worked up about stuff. Because then you're in your own head and you're like, oh my, and I'm so upset and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But when you stop and you just do the dishes, focus on the bubbles, focus on the temperature of the water.
Yeah.
What does that plate feel like?
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
So I love, seize the opportunity.
Yep.
Don't rush. Pause. Enjoy the moments. We only live once,
That's right? Yep.
Jody,
it's true.
Like your headbands, you are also a gem.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I love what you did there.
Well played. Jody, if we want to, so discoveryheadbands.com.
Yeah.
Honestly, Jody, it takes real guts, real courage to be able to open up and share your story in the hopes of letting it ripple and let other people know that you are not alone.
That's right.
We are not alone.
We are not.
We carry our own stories and our own journeys, but a lot of us experience similar pains that affect us in similar ways. And there is a lot of power in humanity and sharing and taking care of each other and community. So thank you.
Yes. No, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Tiffany Show. I feel like Rosie O'Donnell. Did you ever remember that from the 90s when she had all those koosh balls?
You're lucky to knock your camera over. You might with the whole thing.
It's really toppled up there. Have a great day, everybody. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. This has been the Tiffany Show.